It was one of those cold, gray mornings in Montana when even the sunlight seemed hesitant to shine. The little roadside diner smelled like coffee, bacon, and memories, the kind of place where people came not just to eat, but to belong. Inside, at her favorite booth by the window, sat an elderly woman named Martha. She was a sweet widow in her 80s, with silver hair and kind eyes that still sparkled when she spoke of her late husband, Tom. She came there every Sunday after church, ordered her usual, oatmeal, toast, and tea, and spent an hour chatting with whoever sat nearby. Everyone in town knew Martha. She was gentle, polite, and full of stories about the old days. But on this particular morning, something awful happened that would test not just her spirit, but the meaning of kindness itself. Hey friends, before we dive into this powerful story, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You're watching Kindness Action, where we share real and inspiring stories that remind us what truly matters in life: compassion, courage, and doing the right thing. Don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's get into today's story. Martha was halfway through her tea when the diner door opened, and a big man in a brown jacket stomped in. His name was Rick, a regular, but not the friendly kind. He was the type of man who always had something to complain about, always in a rush, and never had a kind word for anyone. That morning, he looked angrier than usual. Maybe it was the weather, or maybe life just hadn't gone his way lately. He muttered something to the waitress about his coffee being cold, then spotted that his favorite booth was taken. And not by just anyone, but by Martha, the old lady, as he once rudely called her. The diner was full, and instead of waiting, Rick marched right up to her booth. "Hey! That's my seat," he barked. Martha looked up, startled but polite. "Oh, I'm sorry, dear. I didn't see your name on it," she said with a little smile. Rick didn't smile back. He slammed his hand on the table, making her cup tremble. "Don't get smart with me, lady. I sit here every morning." The whole diner went quiet. The waitress froze, unsure of what to do. A few people whispered, but no one stepped in. Martha, still calm, tried to defuse the tension. "You can have it, young man. I'll move." She started to stand, but her age made her movements slow. Rick wasn't patient. He grabbed her arm and shoved her back into the seat. "You're too slow anyway," he sneered. And then, in a burst of anger no one could explain, he slapped her across the face. The diner gasped. A spoon clattered to the floor. The poor woman sat there in shock, one hand on her cheek, her eyes wide with disbelief. Rick muttered something under his breath and turned to storm out the door. But just then, the bell over the door jingled again. A tall man in military fatigues stepped in, a German shepherd by his side. The man's face was calm, but his eyes, those sharp, steady eyes, took in everything in a split second. He saw Martha's tear-streaked face, the red mark on her cheek, and the brute standing over her. The soldier's name was Daniel. He was Martha's son, a Navy SEAL who had just come home on leave after months overseas. He hadn't even told his mother he was back yet. He wanted to surprise her at breakfast. But the surprise turned into something else entirely. Rick turned to face him, scoffing. "What are you staring at, soldier boy?" he growled. Daniel didn't answer right away. He walked up slowly, his dog at his heel, every step deliberate. "You just hit that woman," he said quietly. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried the weight of command. The diner was silent, you could hear the hum of the coffee machine. Rick tried to laugh it off. "Mind your own business." She was. Before he could finish, Daniel moved faster than anyone could see. He grabbed Rick's wrist, twisted it behind his back, and in one smooth motion, had him face down on the table. The coffee cups rattled. "You will apologize to her," Daniel said firmly. I didn't mean," Rick stammered, his voice shaking. Apologize, Daniel repeated. I'm sorry. Rick gasped, his face pressed to the table. Daniel released him and stepped back. Rick scrambled out of the booth, red-faced and trembling. He muttered something about leaving and rushed out the door, the bell jingling behind him. The whole diner erupted in whispers, but Daniel ignored them. He turned to Martha, his expression softening. "Mom," he said quietly. She blinked, and when she realized who was standing in front of her, her eyes filled with tears. "Danny, is it really you?" He nodded and knelt beside her, gently taking her hand. "I'm home, Mom." She smiled through her tears, brushing his cheek. "You always know when I need you." The waitress brought her a fresh cup of tea, on the house. Daniel sat with her for hours, talking, laughing, catching up. The whole diner seemed lighter, as if the clouds outside had finally broken apart. Later, the manager decided that Martha would always have her booth reserved, a small act of kindness inspired by what they'd witnessed that day. And surprisingly, a week later, Rick came back. He didn't say much, but he walked up to Martha and apologized again, sincerely this time. She forgave him, of course. That's just who she was. She even told him, "Kindness is a choice, dear. It's never too late to make it." Rick nodded, humbled. He started helping